Hi, everyone. This is Dana here with an update. It was, geez, was that yesterday? Mm, yes. Oh my goodness, it was just yesterday that I went to the hospital, met with my very first neurosurgeon. And I guess maybe neurosurgeons, since there were two of them. The main one with whom I actually made the appointment was available for a total of, I'd say, maybe 4 minutes. It was something like that. I don't think it was even five. He was in and out. He was very busy with meetings, and I had more of a discussion with a younger doctor, a seemingly newer doctor, and they took a look at my information. They weren't aware of the breast atrophy, which is one of my main issues, I believe, um, amongst the host of issues that I have. They weren't aware of that being caused by potentially being caused by brain tumors. They never come across that before. Fair, I understand. They haven't necessarily seen every possibility, every case. I think everybody is different, and given my particular set of circumstances, I think this is something that happened to me, but wouldn't necessarily happen to another woman with a different set of circumstances, or another person with a different set of circumstances. So they weren't able to answer that. It was a quick question about that I raised, and they said no, they didn't know. But one thing that became clear is that when as someone with a tumor, with a pituitary gland tumor, a brain tumor, when we're talking about hormones, when all of your hormones fall within the normally acceptable range, people are not going to believe that there's anything really wrong with you. That senior doctor, the one that would be more seemed like he was the expert. I think he's actually the lead neurosurgeon at the hospital, if I recall correctly. He was talking about just keeping the tumor at bay, making sure it doesn't progress, it doesn't get any bigger, even though it's already pushing into my, I guess, the optical chasm, the cilia, or something like that. I need to learn the terms at some point. I know. So even though it's already doing that, even though there's a potential that my eyesight's already been affected, he was talking about just maintaining it. He was saying it's not an emergency, but he'd never actually stopped to ask me about all of my symptoms, even though I had an information packet. Yes, I do that. Je suis Dana. So I had this whole information packet, which didn't even have all of the symptoms, because I've had more symptoms come out with the hot flashes in my hands and my feet. If you watched my last video, if not, find it. It's on my channel. Maybe I'll link it somewhere. So he was talking about just maintenance, I guess taking some sort of medication to make sure that this doesn't progress. For all I know, he was talking about cabergoline, which I'm already on. I'm not sure. But I told him, and I surprised myself, but I told him that I want to operate because I am convinced that the tumor is at least partially the reason for the depression that I've experienced for quite a while. He actually somehow, within 2 seconds of looking at my MRI scans, he was able to tell me that this was a slow growing tumor. And I said, well, I've been depressed for a long time. And we laughed. Whatever. I actually think it's funny. It's true. I've been experiencing depression since at least since I was a teen. I don't think I was depressed. I don't think I was depressed as a kid, but teenage years for sure. At some point, I did not like myself. I felt bad about being alive, about being here on Earth. So I know, and I definitely recall not having the kind of mood that I would have loved to have. And when you're a teen, hormone stuff changes. You go through all of these hormone changes, body changes, all of this stuff. You're in high school, a lot of stuff goes on. So I would think that I know actually that mood changes are common for teenagers, but my depressive state lasted through adulthood up until now. So that's how I know that I've been depressed all this time, as opposed to just sort of being maybe a little down, a little sad, or maybe some mild depression as a teenager. So this doctor basically came clean and said he does not know about all of the different symptoms that go into or that come out of having a tumor. He said that I need to speak to their endocrinologist. But the thing that I really didn't like is that I went there ready to ask a lot of questions. I wanted to know how many of these types of surgeries they've done, because even though they're a brain surgeon, they haven't necessarily removed a lot of pituitary tumors. I want to know that they know how to get there. They got to go. They're talking about going through the nose. The junior doctor was talking about going through the nose. Even though I've got a larger tumor, he believed that they could take it out through the nose. They talked about the fact that they work with an ENT, ear, nose, throat doctor. So that sounds good. They would know how to get in there for sure. Go through the nose. So that's good. But I didn't like that the doctor would not let me ask a question. I actually had to try at least 3 times, if not 4, to ask him the question. And I was starting with, okay, well, if my vision test is okay, and then he'd cut in. It's like, okay, let me try again. If my vision test is okay, well, if the vision test is okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me try again. Like, how many times do I need to start to try to ask my question? So on one hand, this doctor was really swagalicious. He really seemed to like be confident, but that doesn't give me the information I need to know that he really knows what he's doing. I know of people that can present themselves confidently who will mess up stuff. Like they will just not get the job done. And this is my brain. This is my life. So even though, I almost took a pause in my belief that this tumor needs to be gone, because he was saying, there's nothing. He took a quick scan of my latest hormone panel, or my blood test results, and he said, there's nothing here. But this is what I've come to believe since that meeting. I had to think about this a little bit before making this video. They have ranges on the blood test to say your prolactin, your LH, your FSH, your cortisol, whatever else there is. All of that good stuff. There are ranges. There are the acceptable ranges. There's a lowest that they should be, I guess, for your age and your gender, whatever. And then there's the highest. But who actually knows what the best cortisol level would be for me? Who actually knows what the best FSH level would be for me? For me, not for women that are around the same age. Not for people around the same age, for me. Who actually knows that? I don't think any doctor would actually know that. I'd be surprised if they could really get it to within, a really small window of what it should be for me, based on my age, gender, height, habits, whatever the case. So even though my hormones fit within a certain acceptable range, I know something is wrong. I know that I shouldn't have hot flashes in my hands and in my feet. I know that I shouldn't be depressed no matter what I do. I know what's going on in my body. I've seen the changes. I am experiencing all of this, and I know that this is not normal. So I think there's something there, and I think that there's a reason why other people with pituitary tumors get them removed, and then despite having the normal panels, they had symptoms that go away, because having the tumor in their bodies was doing something that it wasn't supposed to do. And I actually would be curious to know whether how someone's hormone levels changed. Like maybe someone with LH had a level that was within range, but maybe a little low, and then remove the tumor, it goes a little higher, and maybe that's where it was supposed to be for them. Like that's kind of where my thinking's at right now. And also, I think, couldn't there just be general malaise from having, a mass in your body that shouldn't be there? Like, couldn't your body just go, this doesn't feel good? Because you've got something in there that shouldn't be there. It should not be there. And my body, my head, my body, my brain, I'm sure knows it and is affected by it, even if it doesn't show up in the hormones. That's not a scientist, not a doctor, but this is just my thoughts. So I surprised myself by telling this doctor that I want to have a surgery. Now, he wouldn't really let me speak and he didn't have a lot of time. I paid a good amount of money, considering, to see him, and he wasn't available to answer my questions. He actually told me that he was busy, so I didn't get my questions answered. He didn't even have time to give me an idea of how much it would cost for surgery. But I think he left with the impression that I was going to go ahead and do the surgery with them, because I kept saying, okay, okay, let me get a word in edgewise. I do this thing sometimes where when someone doesn't let me speak, I keep saying okay because I'm trying to cut in to the conversation. And I don't know, I feel like he knew what he was doing. But it's not like he's going to be able to cut into my brain until I get my questions answered. And until I know how much a surgery would cost. Like, I need the basics at least. So what he did, even though I can't get a vision test until week after next, he wanted me to come in earlier. So despite not having the vision test done already, because I got one done in 2022, and I need another one done to see if there's a difference in the visual field, because maybe I've lost a little bit of eyesight, or thereabouts, like beyond the glasses, beyond. So we've got to check that. So okay, here are a couple things. This is going to be a rambling update, as you've already seen. Prepare yourself for more rambling. So he, first of all, said, where'd you get this test done? You might need to get a test done somewhere else. Oh, maybe we'll have you, even after you do this next test, we might have you do the test here. And it's like, can you really not decide whether I should not spend the money on this other test? Like, do I need to pay for that one, or should I just come here? Like, what's going on? Tell me what's up, because like, what is the issue? So I didn't ask the right questions in that regard, because it was just like, okay, what? Okay, what? It's just like everything was going a little fast. Basically, every time he popped into the room, things were going really quickly, and then he'd pop back out and go somewhere until the next time. So I might waste some money on this vision test, but it is what it is. At least I'll get it done and have something to show. And it will be at the same place as last time. So maybe that's a good thing. It's on this, it'll be maybe not the same technician probably, but it would at least be on the same type of equipment, maybe same brand. So maybe this will just give us enough information. I don't know. So I might have to get another one done. But in addition to that, he wanted me to come back before I get this next vision test done, so that I can then get all my questions answered. But the thing is, I paid a lot, not a lot really, but like, a sum, a tidy sum, to see him for the few minutes. He didn't have time to answer my questions. He was in and out, apologized profusely, but could not stay, and I could not get my the information that I wanted. And then, so he wants me to come back and pay again the same tidy sum. And then I'd still have to come back again after, I assume I'd come back again after the vision test, and then probably again after that, who knows. So I didn't really like that, because it seemed a little disorganized. It seemed unnecessary for me to come in before I get the next vision test done. I may as well come armed with that information so that we could go a little bit further. So I didn't like that. I agreed to it at first, messaged to secretary, and then changed my mind. So I'm going to message her, make sure she understands. I've already done that, but I'm just going to follow up, because there's something weird about messaging with her. Like, she didn't see my first message and still asked me what I want, despite the detailed initial message I sent. I'm not sure. I don't understand that. But anyways, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt for now. So I'm iffy about that hospital. Meanwhile, there's a maybe more than 4 times of a tidier sum. So the next place I could go, another hospital I could go to, is 4 times as expensive for just a one discussion with a neurosurgeon. But at the same time, I've seen some reviews for this one. I didn't actually look up the reviews for the one I was just talking about, but for this new one, that's much more expensive for one discussion. I've seen some really good reviews. I've seen some bad reviews, not necessarily about him, but I think about how people were treated by maybe nursing staff. at that hospital, like they felt like they were just kind of sort of left in a room and there was no bathroom or something. And well, after you get a brain tumor removed, I think like you could have blurry vision, it could be hard to walk, you could be sick, all kinds of things could be wrong, and you might need assistance. And if there isn't someone there, you're staying in the hospital and there's nursing staff on the floor, but if no one comes to help you, then you may as well have been home. And it's kind of like, what are you paying for? Why aren't they doing their job? So I can understand where those reviews might have been coming from. I'm definitely hoping to not have a similar experience. On the other hand, if I could get this job done and done right, because those glowing reviews that he had tells me that maybe, just maybe, he really, really knows what he's doing. I might risk it, and just I don't know, walk with a bucket, or walk with some snacks if no one brings me food. If they brought, actually, I wouldn't eat the food. I wouldn't eat the food. I gotta walk with some snacks. Oh no, I'm extremely picky. I mean, if I had to, I'd scarf something down, but that's a little scurry. And I don't know if I could fast, because fasting, I would do that. I've fasted many times in my life. Maybe I could try that. Anyways, I'm future planning while recording this video. So it was an interesting conversation. I wanted to mention that the secretary or the receptionist in the neurosurgeon office, she wasn't that neurosurgeon's secretary, but she was just a receptionist that received the money for anyone that wanted to see, I guess, anyone on the neurosurgeon staff. She was lovely, and she was one of those people where, when you meet someone they just seem like a genuinely nice, wonderful person. That was her. So it was a nice moment. She was so friendly. She had a smile on her face. It was really pleasant. And given the experience, you're going to see someone who's going to cut into your brain. She's just the perfect person to have right there, that friendly face, before you have a potentially super serious, or maybe assuredly very serious conversation with someone. So that was nice. I'm going to check my notes and see what else I'm supposed to say. Please hold. So I think I've covered everything. Long story short, I had an interesting first discussion with the neurologist at this hospital. One thing to mention about the first hospital is that their endocrinology team specializes in pituitary tumors. That's what the doctor said. That's amazing. Wish I'd known that, because I could have gone straight to them. I guess I was hell-bent on finding a doctor that speaks English, and so I went with the information that I came across a little over a year ago, and yeah, it wasn't the right choice, because this endocrinologist that I'm now making an appointment with at this hospital is messaging me in English. So I had more options than I realized. But the journey is what the journey is. I've learned a lot so far. I've gotten stronger, which I'm proud of. Stood up for myself at least once. Actually, maybe at least a couple of times. And for me, and this might be hard to understand for most people, but just the act of leaving my house and traveling, going somewhere, and being out of control because the whole world is around me. And I mean, really, how much control do we ever have? You never know what could happen. But the act of traveling to where I've got to go, and then having conversations with these other human beings who may or may not, usually so far, don't emphasize. Interesting. Usually don't emphasize? I don't remember the other word. I'm gonna look it up. Empathy. Empathize. Having conversations with these people who usually don't empathize. I mean, at least in my experience, they don't. Um, you can see it. Often you can see it. Sometimes you can see that they don't care at all. And that's up to them. But it just makes it hard when you notice it and when you're like me and maybe you need a thicker skin. So I'm going to keep going. I'll keep you updated. And this is putting this out there, especially for anyone who might go through this in the future. So stay tuned for more. Bye for now.